Hey, welcome. You ever look at a really tough exam question and wonder, it's not just about what the answer is, but how do they actually grade it? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that whole process. We're cracking the code of a real GCSE exam paper.
And this isn't some made-up example. We're using the real deal, the official Pearson Edexcel GCSE Maths Higher Tier paper from just this June 2024. We're going to dive into a genuine question from this paper to show you the secrets to getting every possible mark. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll peek inside the exam paper itself, get the lay of the land. Then, we'll look at the rules of engagement. After that, we'll tackle a typical tricky question, walk through how to solve it, and then, the best part, we'll decode the official mark scheme. All of that will lead us to your winning strategy.
Right, first things first. Before we get into any maths, let's just set the scene. We need to look at the official instructions you're given right at the very start of the exam.
So you see all the standard stuff here, right? Use black ink, answer everything. Yep, calculators are allowed, but there is one instruction on this list that is so much more important than all the others. Can you spot it? It's that last one. You must show all your working.
And that little sentence brings us to the real rules of engagement here. Because honestly, understanding what that one instruction really means is the key to unlocking points you might be accidentally throwing away.
See, this sentence isn't just some friendly advice. It's a direct command from the examiners. It is the secret to succeeding in these exams. It's not just about getting the final answer. It's about proving how you got there. And that's exactly what we're going to zero in on.
So let's put this into practice with our case study for today. We're looking at question 14 from the paper. It's a classic multi-step problem all about compound interest.
All right, here's the full question. So Kim invests some money. It earns interest. She takes a chunk out. It earns interest again. She takes out another, bigger chunk. We know our final balance, and our job is to figure out what she's started with. It looks a bit complicated, right? But trust me, there's a very clear path through it.
The key to this entire puzzle is to just reverse the process. We know exactly where Kim ended up, so we're just going to work backwards, one step at a time, to find out exactly where she started.
Let's walk through the calculations. First, we take her final balance, and we add back that last £1,000 she withdrew. Now that gives us the amount after the 2023 interest was added, so to undo that, we divide by 1.035. Simple. Next, we add back the first withdrawal, the £750. And finally, we do the same thing again. We reverse the 2022 interest by dividing by 1.035 one last time.
And there it is. The initial investment was £4,400. Now, getting that number is great, feels good, but here's the really interesting part. That final answer is only worth a fraction of the total marks. The real value, the real points, are in the steps we just took to get here.
Which brings us to the main event. Let's decode the official mark scheme and see how an examiner actually gives out the points for a question like this. This is the good stuff. Okay, take a look. This is straight from the examiner's guide. The marks are labeled M for method and A for accuracy. And check this out. You get an M1 mark just for starting a correct process, just for adding that £1,000 back on. You get another M mark for doing the division correctly, and a third for setting up the final part of the process.
So what even is a method mark? Well, the official guidance says it's for a correct method, or even just a partial one. This means the examiner is actively looking to reward you for your thinking, for your approach, not just for what pops out of your calculator at the end. So let's map our steps directly to those marks. Just writing down 2937.14 plus 1,000, boom, that's your first method mark. Then, showing you know to divide by 1.035, that's your second. And setting up that final calculation, you guessed it, that's your third. So here's the absolute key. You can get 3 out of the 4 marks, that's 75% of the credit, without even getting the final answer right, as long as you've shown you have a sound method. That very last mark, the A mark, is the accuracy mark, and that's the one you get for the correct final answer. But it's almost always dependent on you showing a correct method first. You know, no working often means no marks, even if you somehow magically pull the right number out of thin air. So what does this all mean for you when you're sitting in that exam hall? Well, it means we can build a really clear winning strategy for pretty much any question like this.
This is the single most important thing to take away from this. Your thought process, written down on the page, is literally worth marks. Think about it. A little slip on your calculator at the very end might only cost you 1 mark out of 4, but only if you've shown every single step of your brilliant method along the way. So never ever leave that working out space blank.
So this little deep dive really shows that the instructions on the front of the paper,
They aren't just suggestions. They are a roadmap to how you're being marked. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other massive exam secrets are just hiding there in plain sight, waiting for you to find them?